Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Quran Weekly. This is Abdul Nasir Jangda, and this is my Aisha, welcoming you to Ramadan prep. Trying to get ready for the month of Ramadan, inshallah, and make the most of this amazing opportunity that Allah has blessed us with once again. I wanted to talk a little bit today about having a family-friendly Ramadan. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He tells us, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, kutiba alaykumus siyam, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, la'allakum tattaqun. That, O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed for you, just as it was prescribed upon the people before you, so that maybe, possibly, you will develop God consciousness. You know, an important part of taqwa in Islam and living Islam, and I think Aisha is trying to escape from me right now, an important... So, hold on a second. And she's leaving. Salam. Maybe not. She's a little camera shy. She really hates it when I put her on camera. So, she just figured out right now that she was on camera. So, she is officially gone now. So, a part of Islam is making sure that we are good to our families. Making sure that we have a good relationship with our families is a part of having a good relationship with Allah. So if Ramadan is supposed to improve our relationship with Allah, how can it be that Ramadan would improve my relationship with Allah but ruin my relationship with my family? That doesn't add up. It doesn't work. So we need to talk about how to be able to better our relationship with Allah, and at the same time, by means of bettering our relationship with Allah, we're able to strengthen our family relationships as well. So we're going to talk about having a family-friendly Ramadan, and just a few recommendations I've been able to put down that I'd like to share with the Quran Weekly audience today. Number one is Suhoor and Iftar, the two big exciting parts of the day. All right, so anybody who's fasting, especially in summer, you got these 18-hour, 19-hour fasts. MashaAllah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give everyone strength and steadfastness. So it's really difficult, it's very demanding. So people make a big deal out of suhoor and iftar. It becomes very important, and rightfully so. These are also sunnahs of the Prophet ﷺ as well. So we have suhoor and iftar. What I want to recommend is we are going to have suhoor and iftar, but let's try to have suhoor and iftar. Hey Aisha, you came back to join us? All right. See, this is kind of what we're talking about. Family-friendly recommendations. And, uh-oh. All right, Aisha brought a friend with her. I'm going to ask everybody not to pay attention. It's Dora the Explorer. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive her. So, so we want to have suhoor and iftar, and you okay, baby? All right. So we want to have suhoor and iftar, and that's very, very important. But at the same time, what normally happens at the time of suhoor and iftar? How do we have suhoor and iftar? So I'm going to give you a very typical scenario. Maybe this doesn't fit your situation, but nevertheless, I'm going to give you a typical scenario. The mom wakes up 30 minutes before, 45 minutes before, an hour before the rest of the family. And what mama does is she goes downstairs, she cooks and prepares suhoor for everyone. And then everyone comes down, 15 minutes before suhoor ends, rubbing their face and rubbing their eyes and, still wiping the drool from their face. And everybody kind of walks down and crawls down and just kind of piles in. Nobody makes eye contact with each other. Nobody talks to each other. And they just get their ready-to-go food that mom has been slaving over for 45 minutes in the kitchen. Everyone eats their suhoor, doesn't even pick up their plates and things like that, and just kind of crawls back off to their rooms to just make wudu, pray right next to their bed so that they can do salam, and roll over and go right back to sleep. That's your typical suhoor. Iftar, similarly, what ends up happening, we're trying to keep ourselves busy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. It's really not the right thing to do in Ramadan. Watching a lot of TV, playing a lot of video games, doing all this kind of stuff. Just trying to get to the time of iftar some way, somehow. Mom, meanwhile, has been in the kitchen for 2 hours preparing a gourmet iftar for the whole family. And then again, we show up 30 seconds before iftar time to sit down, grab the food, stuff our faces, and then run right back off. So this is part of the problem. We need to have suhoor and iftar together, but here's the recommendation. Number one, prepare it together as a family. Turn the preparation of suhoor and iftar into a family activity. So everybody come down, and if four people are preparing suhoor instead of one person, it wouldn't take 45 minutes. It would take 20 minutes. So the whole family needs to wake up together, come downstairs, prepare their suhoor together, and then eat their suhoor together, and then clean up after the suhoor together as well. Because mom's got to pray Salatul Fajr as well. Mom wants to read some qiyam and recite some Quran and observe her Ramadan as well. It's not fair to her to be able to just put all the responsibility on her. But if we prepared together, ate together, and then cleaned up together, we basically will have spent an hour of time together, quality family time, having a conversation, talking together, maybe even sharing a hadith with one another, maybe, sharing the translation or what we heard in the tafsir lecture at Taraweeh last night together. So it's a very beneficial opportunity. So suhoor and iftar, prepare, eat, and clean up together as a family. Number 2, pray together. We should pray together as families all the time, but especially in the month of Ramadan. Especially in the month of Ramadan. So whenever we are praying at home, instead of everybody just praying individually and on their own, get together and pray together as a family. Number 3, study some Quran together every single day. So Aisha's going to come and go as she pleases. So just so y'all know, so nobody gets, that should not disturb you or faze you, just like it did not faze me, alhamdulillah. Say mashallah, jazakumullah. So study some Quran together every single day. Now that sounds very overwhelming. What are you saying? I have to have like an hour-long tafsir dars? No. Study a little bit of Quran. Take one verse, read the translation of one verse, maybe play a little video, play a Quran weekly video, and just have a little discussion about it, right? So just study a little bit of Quran every day, together as a family, in the month of Ramadan. Number 4, have a Quran memorization competition amongst the family. So pick a surah, Surah Yasin, Surah Rahman, Surah Al-Kahf, Surah Al-Mulk. It doesn't matter what you pick, right? Pick some portion of the Quran and say, we're going to have a Quran memorization competition in the family. We get very excited about the Quran competition at school, at the masjid, etc. in the community. We should be having our own Quran competitions at home. So what are we going to do? Pick a surah. Everyone's going to try to memorize it. Whoever memorizes it first and is able to recite it without any mistakes to the rest of the family wins the competition. They'll get some type of a prize. Everybody else is going to buy them gifts, whatever the case may be. But it makes the whole family do something together as a family. And number 5, this is a recommendation that's a little bit more specific, but I still want y'all to, take this into consideration. Especially young married couples, especially those who have smaller children, like you just saw my Aisha right now. It's very important, and I need to give a little bit of a disclaimer. This is going to make the video longer, something I promised Quran Weekly I would not do anymore, but I can't help myself. Big dua for me. It's a personal problem I have. So the disclaimer that I have is Taraweeh is an emphasized sunnah upon men. This is a fiqh issue. You normally don't come across fiqh rulings in Quran Weekly videos, but it's a little bit of a disclaimer. Taraweeh is an emphasized sunnah for men. It is an optional practice for women, meaning it is more emphasized for men than it is for women. That's a fiqh ruling, and that is the ruling on the issue in the matter. Nevertheless, we also have to understand, aside from the fiqh technical ruling on Taraweeh, there's something greater at stake. We're talking about spirituality, we're talking about Ramadan, we're talking about our relationship with Allah. Women need those things just as much as men do. Wives need those things just as much as husbands do. Mothers need spirituality, a spiritual revival, a relationship with Allah, a renewed sense of iman. I would say not just as much as fathers, I would say even more so than fathers do. Because I know the vital role that my mother played in my life and in my tarbiyah. I always tell people, I learned iman, I learned how to believe from my mom. I learned my akhlaq and character and how to carry myself as a man from my father, but I learned how to believe from my mom. I know my kids, they learn how to believe from their mom. I talk to them, I share stuff with them, I help them memorize du'as and things like that, but it's just, mothers have that impact on their children. And so our wives, our sisters, and especially the mothers of our children, they really also need to be able to experience Ramadan and better their relationship in the month of Ramadan with Allah. And so for that reason, here's my recommendation. I gave all this disclaimer so nobody would object. And in the comments of the Quran Weekly videos, which are very ajib sometimes, but they wouldn't go in the comments and say, brother, but the fiqh ruling about men attending Taraweeh is more important than women. I already said that. But I'm talking about a more important issue here. I'm talking about spirituality. And so for that reason, my recommendation is this. If you got little kids and you can't take them to Taraweeh prayers, not just because of the noise issue. I led Taraweeh prayers, alhamdulillah, now for 20 years. I never reprimand, families or children for coming to the masjid. I think we need to be a little more tolerant, but that's another topic for another Quran Weekly video. But what I'm talking about is, like, I know my kids have a bedtime. They can't physically stay up past a certain time. They're babies. So the kids go to sleep. Now somebody's got to stay home with the kids and somebody's got to go for Taraweeh prayers. So what ends up happening? 29 nights, mom stays home, dad goes for Taraweeh prayers. 29 nights, mom stays at home looking after the kids. Dad is at the masjid listening to the khatira, to the tafsir, to the dars during the Taraweeh prayers. And there comes a certain point in time where it does become imbalanced and it isn't fair. So what I recommend is parents take turns staying with the kids and attending Taraweeh prayers. Kind of alternate between the two. And I really want to encourage, young parents to really take that into consideration. That even if it's not every other day, once a week, twice a week, whatever the case may be, whatever you can manage, dad, make a little bit of a sacrifice. Taraweeh prayers is also sunnah to perform at home, by the way. That if, the mom, your wife, is going to get together with a few friends, go to Taraweeh prayers, pray Taraweeh, listen to the dars, listen to the khatira, receive a little bit of a spiritual boost, an iman boost, facilitate that for her. I'll tell y'all a personal story. This past Ramadan, alhamdulillah, I was able to go for Umrah. So we were able to spend the last 20 days of Ramadan in Umrah. Alhamdulillah, it was an amazing blessing, alhamdulillah. So of course it was me, my wife, and my two kids, Maryam and Aisha. At that time they were 4 and 2 years old. So they're very young, they're babies. And so they would, when we would go for Taraweeh prayers, actually we would split them up. Maryam would come with me. Aisha, who was a little bit younger, she would go with my wife. Even when I would go, I had a couple of students of mine who were on this Umrah trip with us. So what I would do is I would actually take an extra little prayer rug and I would put it down between me and one of my students who was there with me for the Taraweeh prayers. And Maryam, because she's a kid, she's a baby, it's 10 p.m. she needs to go to sleep. She would just lay down on that prayer rug and she would pass out between the two of us. But I would take her with me. But after Taraweeh prayers, it was Qiyam prayers. And during the last 10 nights in the Haram, we were in Mecca, they would have Qiyam prayers after the Taraweeh prayers, which is super late now. You're talking about 1 a.m. So then it was really hard to even take them with us because they were already passed out. I would have to carry her back from Taraweeh prayers. So what happened was, for the first few nights, my wife would stay back in the hotel with the kids because they were sleeping. She would turn on the television, which had a live feed from the Haram, and just sit there and kind of listen to the recitation. And that happened for about 3-4 nights. And I kind of noticed, we're here in Mecca. We're at the Haram. It's Ramadan. Qiyam prayers. There's 1 million people praying Qiyam together. I said, she needs that experience. She needs to be able to experience that. And God bless her soul. She God bless her heart. She didn't complain or anything. But I realized that, this ain't fair, this ain't right. So after about 3 nights, I told her, tonight, I'm going to be staying back with the kids, and I want you to go to the sister section in the Haram and be able to pray your Qiyam prayers and kind of experience Ramadan, do the witr, make the dua in the witr with the imam, because you deserve that as well. And alhamdulillah, that way we would alternate. She didn't want to go every other day because she herself was worried about the kids and preferred to spend some more time with the kids. But we would alternate. Every few days I would force her to go. I would make her go. And I would stay back with the kids so that she could also experience the month of Ramadan and she could benefit from that as well. So these are just a few basic recommendations. it's gotten kind of long, so suhoor and iftar, prepare, eat, and clean up together as a family. Number 2, pray your prayers together as much as possible. If you're not going to the masjid, you're praying at home, pray together. Number 3, study some Quran together every day, even if it's 5 minutes and one verse, one ayah, even if it's one Quran weekly video for 10 minutes. Number 4, have a Quran competition amongst the family. Who's going to memorize the surah first and make the least amount of mistakes? Number 5, for the parents, take turns between Taraweeh and babysitting. And hopefully we can have a little bit more of a family-friendly month of Ramadan, inshallah. Until next time, Jazakumullah khairan for watching and for your patience. Quran Weekly. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.